This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, and thank you to anyone who's tuning in today. We've certainly had our fair share of technical problems. I seem to, with each presentation, find a new way to do something wrong. I'm going to record this one with the hope that anyone who suffered through some of the other problem presentations might have most of the information easily at hand. The autoclave is sitting beside me. I have the door open uh, simply because you can't open it if the power is out. And in an earlier presentation, we had a power issue and things all went wrong. But I want to basically explain why the autoclave works very well for some people, might not be perfect for your setting, and how you might determine if it works for you. Um, the two things that just jump right out at you are the speed of the autoclave, the size of the autoclave being easy to carry and manage, and the price point being attractive. It sells for less than $4,000 Canadian, including shipping, and it comes with a USB port. So all sorts of reports can be generated, all your cycle histories, etc. Now, it's a Class B sterilizer, and most Class B sterilizers, excuse me, are generally very expensive, and a Class B sterilizer typically runs between $8,000 and $12,000. And the only exception to this I'm aware of was the Tinget, which was a Chinese-made autoclave and really didn't have the support network needed to be a reliable alternative. Excuse me, the dry winter air. This autoclave, because it's smaller, it's easier to transport. One of the nice things is that dealers can have extra units on stock. That allows us to give the customer a unit that they can use if their autoclave requires service. The autoclave weighs about 33 pounds. You're talking 35 pounds. Shipping weight comes beautifully packaged all around, and the box isn't all that big that you can store it and you have it if service is ever required. So the advantages of a Class B autoclave are that the existence of vacuums early and late in the process make both the sterilization and the drying, especially make the drying cycle very, very fast. I've run several dozen cycles now with this autoclave, and the first cycle of the day seems to sit around 15 minutes. And I found as I did more, it was down near 12 or 13. That's with the drying included. When you're just sterilizing, it's fast, it's quicker. Again, something in the range of 7 minutes. The actual sterilization time is roughly 4 minutes at a temperature of 134 Celsius. And it is super, super easy to to use. Basically, when you turn it on, and I'm going to move this around right now, hopefully not hitting anything, because I want to show you all the cool features. And oddly enough, they're actually on the back. Obviously your power cord, but your on and off switch is right there. Your USB stick that records everything is right there. The USB stick also has an installation video, and it also has a copy of the manual, copy of the warranty, and it keeps all your cycle reports. So just a tremendous, oh, and the software that you need to read the cycle reports. And I'll show you one of them pretty soon. This round thing is the HEPA filter. So very small, simple, very clever technology. You need to be a little bit careful that when you screw it in, because it has a thread, you get it aligned so that you don't cross thread it. And then you've got two tubes. And I'm just going to hold up the heavy one first. This is your distilled water. And then once you've used up a bottle, you grab one of these, and this is sort of what is exhausted. So when you're running cycle after cycle, you're not constantly filling the machine or checking the machine. You're basically just pressing that button. And so when it turns on, when you hit that on switch, what you'll see in the front screen, it'll say hello. And then you hit hello, and you have three choices. One are test cycles. The second one is your autoclave cycles, one without pouches, one for glassware and certain scopes, which is a longer cycle at lower temperatures. And the one you're going to use most of the time is your regular pouched one on the third. So as long as it's selected, it usually remembers where you were the last time. So it just goes directly that. So you go hello, and then you go start, and away you go. And then just come back 15 minutes or less later, and it'll say door is open, and you unload it. Now, I noticed the first time I reached in, and I had common sense enough to be careful and wear some gloves. It actually wasn't all that hot. After even 60 seconds, it was very easy to take them out. Right instantly, they were warm. Not so warm that I would burn myself, but you wanted to be careful. And the pouches were dry. Now, so compare this to the Value Clave, which a lot of you know we sell a lot, and it's from Tutnar, and you can see the old Easy 10 behind us. What are the differences? Well, the Value Clave, super simple, almost nothing to go wrong, but no printer. You can't add a printer. Takes about an hour to run and to dry, but very dependable, just goes on forever. But it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. But in terms of numbers of pouches, how would they compare? Well, the Value Clave holds about 6 pouches, 3 trays. Each tray would hold 2 pouches. The bigger autoclaves behind would hold a lot more. This is it's a very awkward thing to talk about number of pouches, because what does the manufacturer say? Well, they say eight pouches. Well, it isn't 8 pouches. That's 8 pouches if you're a dentist and you got little tiny things. For foot care, the suggestion is 1.1 pounds. So that is roughly 3 sets of instruments. So it would, when I did some experiments, I put one of these sets in, one of these sets, I put a burr, and really had no trouble at all. Now, this brings us to an issue that's often misunderstood. And even an hour ago, I had a long discussion with a customer about this. There is a misunderstanding that pouches should never overlap, and that simply isn't true. The technology or the physics of steam, they go through these pouches, and I wanted to show you something here. This is a process control device. So you put the whole box in the autoclave, And it's a very sophisticated way of testing your autoclave. And you can, whoops, there you go. You can see the biological vial right in the middle, as is the class 5 integrator. And you put these sandwiched in there in the box, and you put the whole thing in the autoclave and run it. And the idea is if the steam penetrates deep inside there and kills everything in the class 5 integrator changes color, everything is good, and logically it is. But that demonstrates the way steam penetrates. And the same thing is true of a Bowie-Dick test. And I'm going to mention that because Bowie-Dick tests are suggested for Class B autoclaves. They don't test whether the product's sterilized, they test whether the vacuum is working. And again, sandwiched in all those cards is one of these. And if the autoclave vacuum is adequate, this color is very even, and you can see it is. And this was sandwiched in there, and again, everything penetrated to test that. This is what they look like that you actually put in the autoclave. Now this autoclave has a neat feature in that it has its own built-in test. So it has a cycle that you can just press and it'll test the vacuum itself, or another button for that you put your Bowie-Dick test in. My feeling would be that if you are happy, your inspector's happy, you can save yourself a lot of money with just doing the autoclave test itself. It's very, very precise. But inspectors are inspectors, and foot care people don't get the same answers all the time. In fact, you're kind of happy when you get the same answer 2 times in a row. So you're gonna load the instruments, and I'm going to take the tray out that loads them in. There we go. So you don't have to take the tray out. You would load the tray in the autoclave. But you can see what you're going to do is you're going to put your instruments in. You're going to arrange them a little bit so that you don't end up with a great big mess of stainless steel right in the middle or on top of each other, but spreading them out. But basically that's it. As I said, you would load the tray while it's in place. The tray butts up against the seal in here. And one of the nice things is cleaning doesn't require any special cycles. It doesn't require any special products. You just have to be very careful that your cleaning product doesn't react with aluminum. It doesn't have chlorine in it. So you're going to avoid some of those really harsh bathroom cleaners, etc. You're going to stick with something that's, simple and safe. There's some different options that way. And you're just going to wipe down that tray. You're going to wipe down the seal, and every once in a blue moon, you'll wipe down the outside of the autoclave. Get yourself a group of those micro towels. You can find them in grocery stores, car dealerships, and stuff like that. Something that's fine and lint free. The last thing you need is lint in here. Now, just to read the manufacturer's instructions, it says it's recommended to clean the seal after every 100 cycles, and the internal part about once a week. I'm giving this from my office, so the phone does ring every once in a while. The autoclave itself is portable, and so there's going to be 2 or 3 things that come to mind. Well, could I, as a foot care person, could I autoclave as I'm going along? Could I? because if the cycle's completing in 15 minutes and my average treatment time's 20, could I be, in a sense, staying ahead of the game? And the answer is yes and no. It is portable. You could go to off-site to use it. It doesn't require any special electrical, and you just take those bottles of water, clumsy, but it can be done. There's two things to remember. First of all, always take a surge protector because it's expensive, it's electrical, and just like you'd always have a surge protector on your computer at home or in your office, you need a surge protector on anything you have an expensive computer board on. Second thing is the holdup is probably not going to be the sterilization. This will keep up with it. And in fact, if the patient's right there, you don't need to pouch it. So you're only looking at 7-8 minutes and you're ready to go. As soon as the instruments cool down, good to go. The problem is you still have to clean the instruments. And cleaning them off-site isn't an easy thing. You're wanting to wear gloves and protect yourself while you're doing the cleaning using somewhat strong cleaning agents. So you don't want that around your patient. So that's the holdup. But if you had a scenario like you were going to another city, you were seeing 40 or 50 patients, you only had 30 sets of instruments, and you're doing it over a couple of days, you could easily do the cleaning at night and then be autoclaving during the sessions that day. Just clean them all, pouch them, and then as you're doing foot care, you could be doing several sets and you'd be actually catching up because you'd be autoclaving faster than you're using them. And that brings up a question: how close could this be while you're doing your foot care? And the answer is very close. It's much quieter than a drill. Very, very quiet. It's quieter than any other autoclaves we sell by a long shot. And if I ran the cycle here, which I tried to in the first video, and it just ran into lots of troubles. But if you if I was running it, I wouldn't have to speak any louder. You'll hear an occasional whoosh or goosh or a little sound of a fan, because with vacuums, you've got to expel the extra pressure. But all in all, it's an extremely quiet product that would be much quieter than any sort of a podiatry drill with a vacuum. Documentation. So I've compared it to the ValueClave, and the other autoclave that might be worth comparing it to is the M9D from Midmark or Ritter. It, like the ValueClave, is a manual autoclave, so the door opens. This one, of course, the door doesn't open. It's got the HEPA filter, which is a great feature. But like the ValueClave, the M9D, the door opens, and you can attach a printer to the M9D, which you cannot to the ValueClave, or even you can also attach a USB stick. And but the price point of an M9D plus a printer or the USB data logger is probably $800 more than this. The chamber size is much bigger, but you're looking at an hour. So you start to see the things. And one of the nice things, again, about this autoclave is if you're not in Toronto or Kitchener or London, and you're in Timmins or Thunder Bay or, Prince Edward Island, it gives you an option of shipping it at a relatively inexpensive cost to get it serviced. And so that's a nice feature if that should happen. Okay. So a documentation. I am going to, if you'll excuse me a second, I'm just going to open up the document. Bear with me for a second. So this is the printout of a cycle. This is a cycle that I ran on this unit, and it sort of I'm not sure if you're seeing the whole printout or not. So I'm going to show you the top of it and then the bottom of it. You can at the top you can see both the pressure and the sterilization, and right in the middle is your sterilization time, and I'm just going to pull back for a second, pull this up. Not sure how that looked on your end, and this is the bottom of the page, and you're seeing the pressure that was reached, the sterilization temperature. It's showing you the different steps. And actually, this cycle took 14 minutes and 8 seconds. So, and as I said, you're going to record all of these cycles, that nice report with absolutely everything you could possibly imagine on the report. You're going to store it on a USB stick, which you can download to your computer. And the USB stick comes with the software so that you can display this, and it has other features. So if you're really curious about all of this, lots and lots of questions you can ask. Now, I'm going to close that for a second. Come back on it once more. So one of the questions that comes up, and it's because we sell single use, and a lot of suppliers do. Well, let's talk about that for a second. So a single use set like this is 4 pieces. It's got the scalpel handle. This one sells for a little bit under $12. Some of the ones with fewer instruments sell $10, $11 and that kind of thing. How does that compare to something like this? Well, let's say you're seeing 3 patients a day. You're going to spend $30. What's your leasing costs on this per day? Well, it's about $130 to $150 a month, depending on the lease structure. I've seen some leases that literally have a buyout of $1 or buyout of $10 at the end of the lease. So after 3 years, you own it. And you're looking, as I said, about $130, $140 a month. Divide that by 20 working days in the month, and you can see that your cost to run the autoclave is less, leasing cost is less than $10 per day, per working day. Of course, you've got the cost of your pouches, not very expensive. Distilled water, not very expensive. Biological tests, expensive, but still $2 to $5 a day, depending on what system you're using. And you only use them the days you actually autoclave. I've got my little tester here. So that's what I mean by biological testers. You've got this. Startup costs for that whole thing is about $260. Incubator, record keeping book, and all of that kind of stuff. And the cleaning products that you use on it, again, are very, very inexpensive. So it could, in theory, be something that if you're finding single-use instruments have some downsides for you, the constant cost, perhaps you're not getting a nail cutter that feels good to your hand, etc. It gives you an option which, over a period of a year, shouldn't really be that it shouldn't be any more expensive. it really is the startup cost of the of the of signing the lease, putting, but usually they want a month or two up front, something like that. But once you're set up as an ongoing cost. Now, with leases, it's important to understand that you're still responsible for the maintenance of the machine, of any service work, and that kind of thing. But that is it in a nutshell. And as I said, I don't think it's perfect for everybody. I think if you're a clinic doing 50 patients a day, it's not going to work. It could be an absolutely wonderful backup because if you had some dirty instruments and you wanted to use that special instrument on this special patient, you can literally sterilize it in 7 or 8 minutes and be ready to go. I think that's it. And I thank you for your patience and look forward to any questions. And do feel free to call us or email us at Quality Foot Care.